McCready was there as well, but he'd opted to stay in his regular clothes.
You think we're going to run into trouble?
The soldier asked. No, why? McCready smiled in reply. They waited in silence until Locke had docked the ship and confirmed it was safe to open the doors. Jayde tried to ignore the nervous feeling in her stomach as she stepped out of the Determination and into the space station. Jayde's eyes widened and her mouth dropped open slightly in awe. The space station looked large and imposing from afar, but it was much bigger on the inside. There were people everywhere, almost all of them soldiers. Everything was an orderly hustle. Soldiers were hauling cases of what Jayde assumed were weapons, and dozens of warships were docked and being worked on by mechanics. It was mind-boggling.
I'll see you shortly,
McCready asked. As soon as I'm done, Jayde confirmed. The soldier smiled and disappeared into the crowd. Jayde walked slowly, overwhelmed by all of the sights and sounds. She was looking up at one of the vessels and almost ran into someone. It made her feel like a fool, so she uttered an apology and kept moving. Once she passed the ships, there was a long line of mech suits that caught her eye. They were single-man design, used as weapons of war. Jayde was so busy admiring them that she didn't notice the figure standing beside her until he tapped her on the shoulder. You look enthralled by the mechs, Logan said with a chuckle. I was just thinking about how fun it would be to use one, Jayde said. Oh, they're fun all right, and they can do a lot of damage too. Jayde turned to face Logan and they stared at one another in silence before Logan extended his arms to her for a hug. She stepped into his embrace and was immediately overcome with so many memories of her childhood. It seemed a foolish thing to think, but his hug felt like home. Logan released her and pushed her back at arm's length. I never thought I'd see you again, he said. Archelon was a disaster. When you slipped off the ship without telling anyone, I assumed the worst. I'm glad that I was wrong. Warmth colored Jayde's cheeks red and she shrugged. There were too many things that happened and I had to get out of there. It turned out to be for the best, though. Logan nodded as she talked. That damnably handsome smile plastered across his face. I'd love to stand here and catch up on the last decade, but you said Hans was dead, and that's a big problem. Follow me. It's too loud in here. Jayde followed Logan out of the massive bay area and into the main portion of the ship. He talked about the space station as they walked, and she found the hallways and rooms of the vessel to be set up similar to those on her own ship. They reached a conference room, and Logan held the door open for her. Jayde stepped inside and was greeted by a large rectangular table. The room was empty except for the two of them. Have a seat. Do you want something to drink? Something to eat? Food would be great, Jayde replied. I haven't eaten since breakfast. Logan sat at the head of the table. A computer screen was built into the table and he tapped a few buttons. The center of the table opened and a tray full of fruit rose from within. Jayde grabbed an apple and bit into it, closing her eyes for a moment in satisfaction. Wow. A real apple. You've done really well for yourself. We're stationed above Earth, so we have some perks, Logan said. He waited for her to finish chewing before he asked about Hans. What happened? He asked. A lot. I don't even really know where to start. Hans died from being attacked by a Thrawn. I think it was posing as a little girl, but she could have been infected. Infected? She was a dredge? Yeah. No. Maybe? Jayde shook her head. I don't know. There was some really weird stuff going down on M44. We stopped there to refuel and took a job that ended up completely screwed. A diseased Liskren bit one of my guys and he turned into a sleeper. The entire outpost was overrun somehow. I don't think anyone survived. There was a girl that needed help, so I brought her onto my ship. After we left the planet, Hans's ship was there and he boarded us. Long story short, he took the girl with him, but she killed him and his soldiers. He told me to warn the convocation. Those were his last words. Logan sat back in his chair and drummed his fingers on the surface of the desk. He had a concerned look on his face and he seemed to be having an internal debate with himself. You remember what happened on Archelon? He finally asked. How could I forget? No, of course not. But I'm talking about how it happened. Those pods that were dropped from the sky? I remember them, Jayde said. What I'm about to tell you is going to be hard to stomach. Those pods were filled with an experimental disease designed by the Thrawn. They bombarded Archelon with those pods as a way of testing it. There was an airborne version that they dropped that day, but they've since been changing it, perfecting it, and making the disease stronger. So, the Thrawn are behind the disease? What is the convocation doing to combat it? We're struggling to combat it, Logan answered. Our scientists are working day and night to find a way to reverse it, or at least cure someone infected before they turn into a dredge.